Hey, so this is kind of part vlog, part PSA. Yesterday when I was training, I got a message on Patron from one of my patrons who was asking about ambient footwork. If you're not familiar with ambient footwork, it's because it's a term that I coined. I made it up. And it's referring to something that I learned, or something that I kind of realized. I'd actually been shown this before, but not really had the concept of it. But in my first time training with Wangchannoi, Sor Palanchai, he was showing me how to not just like hit the bag and not think about it. He was actually making a point about visualization, taking your time, and training Jungwa. Jungwa is like your rhythm and your timing, and it's the way that Thai fighters don't look like any other fighters in the world, is that they have incredible Jungwa. And it was really for the first time that I started to really understand this was with Wangchannoi. And I was noticing how when he was visualizing to hit the bag or to shadow box or something like this, he was visualizing so well that I could see his opponent. Like, I could totally see what he was seeing and what he was responding to. And so it was not just like stand in front of the bag and hit it as many times as you can. There was a lot of this like moving and focusing on the footwork that goes around that. So because this was new to me and I was working quite a bit on it, I call it ambient footwork because it's kind of the stuff between everything. I did a technique vlog on this because it's something that I've been working on. And this patron who contacted me was saying that they had watched this technique vlog and were very interested in ambient footwork, but felt like they'd kind of stagnated, like they'd kind of hit a plateau with it. And so they were asking me what I do, or what are some, I don't know if they use the word drills, but it was something along the lines of like, how do I practice this? What is the kind of like breakdown? This is what you do in order to do it. A lot of questions like this, the answer is frustrating when you're trying to work on something and you don't have a great deal of experience in it yet, because the answer is that it's feeling. If you're trying to work on the feeling of something, you literally just have to do it a lot. I've said this about clinching, how I have become such a prolific clincher, is that I was just thrown in the Shark Tank. I was just thrown in the water, and you just learn to swim by being in the water. You just have to spend time in the water. This is the same thing with footwork, including ambient footwork. So we just did a Muay Thai Library session with Yodkhunpon, who basically carved himself into an amazing fighter by shadowboxing all the time. It's all about feeling. Chatchai Sasakul, who is WBC world champion, he talks a lot about why Golden Age fighters are so good, and he uses Karahat as his example, is that they sparred all the time. Like, they just sparred so much. And he's like, people don't do this anymore. They don't have feeling. He's like, you have to spar and you have to do shadow boxing if you're talking about Yodkhunpon. This is how you build feeling. And so it's frustrating when someone asks you a direct question of what should I be doing, because the answer is you have to feel it. So you can get ideas from watching someone and then start to imitate it, but really it's going to be your own feeling guiding you towards what your in-between ambient footwork is or is not. So the wonderful thing about being a patron, and this is what I was able to advise him, he wrote to me on Patron, he is a patron, is I was like, my technique vlogs are something I discovered, or something that became clear to me, or something that was kind of like eureka in a library session learning from one of the legends or crews in the Muay Thai Library, and then I take that into my own training because I'm like, this speaks to me, this is something I understand, I need to shape myself with. I get this from other people. I get this from the crews and legends of Thailand. They are the direct source. I'm an indirect source. There's a movie, I can't remember what it was, but this woman was like, I was reading a tweet about a New York Times article. This is kind of how people get a lot of Muay Thai instruction or knowledge, is like filtered down the line, right? So like your trainer learned from another trainer who at one point was in Thailand, who learned it from this other guy, or maybe people are learning it on YouTube, which is hard to tell how direct that information is. The cool thing about Patron in the Muay Thai Library is it is as direct a source other than standing in front of these legends that you can get, because we use long form training. So you're seeing them actually teach it to me. You're learning with me as I'm learning from them. You see me fuck up and not get it, And so you get the details of like what's wrong, how to make these adjustments and train it. It's not a highlight video. So I advised this man who was asking this question to go back and watch the technique video again, then go watch the first Wangchannoi session. We have 2 with him. Watch the first Wangchannoi session in the Muay Thai Library, because that's when he first introduced this concept without calling it that or even describing it as that. That was my understanding of it. And that's when I started working on it and made the technique vlog. And go watch this most recent session with Yodkhunpon in the Muay Thai Library that's all shadowboxing. So because working on footwork is super focused in shadowboxing, and then you can bring that into your like pad work and bag work and things like that, what Yodkhunpon says and shows in his shadowboxing video, real fighters, true fighters, all have ambient footwork. It's not all the same as each other, and they don't call it that, and they probably don't even think of it like that, but it's the like movement you have between things. So incredibly, because this guy is a patron, he was able to go watch the Wangchannoi video. He said that he had actually not seen it before. So he saw my technique vlog, got the idea of ambient footwork, which is great. That's kind of what my technique vlogs are for. They're not instructional, they're not demonstrational, they're what I'm working on, and they're often very conceptual. They're like what I think about these things that I'm working on. And so he understood this concept and felt like he'd kind of plateaued and didn't know how to like strengthen it, but had not seen the source material of where that came from. So he said he went and watched the Wangchannoi video, and something really clicked when Wangchannoi was showing me how to hit the bag, this kind of like find your openings, use your jungwat, like all of these different things. And he used a really amazing example. I really liked it. He said that he had misunderstood visualization for a very long time. Visualization is super important in real Muay Thai training and in honing your skills and in footwork, shadowboxing, definitely ambient footwork, because where your strikes come out is all to do with visualization. But something clicked for him when he was watching this, and he had basically been misunderstanding this idea of ambient footwork as, and this is the awesome example he gave, as like the Street Fighter idol. You know how your character just kind of like does their thing like this until you make them move, until you start hitting the buttons. This is their idol. Completely, that's what I do. In the like, just move your feet, like just have the like rocking. In Thai they actually call it yok, which is this kind of like fighter's rock kind of thing. And if you're not thinking about it and you're not visualizing, you are totally like Soul Calibur, Street Fighter, just your kind of like idle before someone pushes a button kind of thing. This is not ambient footwork. And it clicked for him, and he started understanding the importance and really what visualization is through the process of going back and looking at the source material. If you're a patron, go look at these Muay Thai Library sessions. This is where I'm learning the things that I then ruminate on and obsess about and start working really hard on. I really, really encourage people to look at the primary source material, because these are the legends and crews of Thailand who know what they're talking about. These are men who are just absolutely incredible. They've grown up in the sport. They're in their 40s and 50s usually, so they've got like decades in the sport as fighters, as teachers. They learn things on their own. There's a different pedagogy in Thailand from the way that we learn things in the West. And just going and looking at those primary source materials, I swear to you, I am not lying to you. I present an idea. I don't want to be the expert on things, because I'm not the expert on things. I have experience learning from these men. I get excited about things, and I pull things out that I'm like, look for this. This is what I understand. But go watch it, because it's long form, and you might see something in there that even I didn't necessarily bring out. It might not have been super present or relevant to me, but it's present and relevant to you. It's that kind of thing where like really good detectives say that you don't ask someone, did you see something suspicious? Because to them it might not have been. Instead you say, what did you see? And then you get the full story, and then you might get things that pop out as like, that is super suspicious, but to them it wasn't. So presenting long form instruction from these source materials is, what do you see? I tell you what I see, but that's just a suggestion, and that's just kind of the things that I've learned and digested from doing this for a long time and speaking Thai and understanding things. But for sure, these primary source materials, if you are a patron, absolutely go watch them. They're invaluable. They are precious to me, and they're absolutely certainly precious to people who are trying to learn these things. So thank you to this patron who asked this question. Thank you for that great example of the Street Fighter idol. I'm going to be stealing that. Yeah, if I do a technique vlog on something, I usually almost always learned it from someone in the Muay Thai library, and usually in the technique vlog I will reference where I learned that. You can go and watch the primary source and get a lot more out of it that way. So thank you guys.